You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down the IceDogs 4-3 victory over the Brantford Bulldogs here on a Sunday afternoon at the Meridian Centre, the IceDogs' final home game before they go out on the road for 7 straight, and their last game before the Christmas break here on Beach Day was the promotional jersey for the IceDogs in front of 3,267 in downtown St. Catharines. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to be notified whenever we record our live game recaps. Thank you to those listening the next day on Monday morning on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Make sure you give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage. Cam, the IceDogs win back-to-back games. They take out the Brampton Steelheads on Friday night in a close victory. And now today on Sunday afternoon against their canine rivals just down the road, take out the Bulldogs and improve to 2-1 against a team that they have had a tough time with the last 4 or 5 seasons. It's been nice to see the IceDogs come and respond with a 2-0 week.
Absolutely huge, especially with the looming 7-game road trip that they're about to embark on. We needed to have at least 2 out of these 4 points, and they were able to walk away with 4 perfect weekend there from them and position themselves well in the standings heading into this extremely long road trip throughout the holiday break. We're not back at the Meridian Centre until New Year's Eve against the Peterborough Petes. So just a great performance, and I got to be honest with you, I think that Flores deserves a monthly award for tonight because that was a pretty crazy performance by him. He battled, the whole team did, but a big 2 points regardless.
Yeah, that third period, the Bulldogs definitely took over there and hemmed the IceDogs in, but the IceDogs bent but didn't break, and they came away with the 2 points. Big, reason why was, as you mentioned, number 35, Owen Flores in the net. We'll hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame, as well as goaltender Owen Flores on his big performance and the confidence level that he has taken to another level this season in his overage year. But regardless, with that said, Cam, let's quickly get into the lineup first. And our prep list, as always, is brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. You tried the rest, now it's time to try the best. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving the Niagara community since 2013. Check them out for the best quality pizza and wing combos anywhere in Niagara. Basically the same forward lineup, Cam, but we did see Jack Brody come back, and Ben Boudreau kind of had to switch up the defense a little bit. Nick Frasca came out. Darcy DeWatcher took warm-ups, but he did not dress, so they went with 12 forwards, 6D again. What do you think of the way the lineup went?
Well, this is as close to what Game 1 of the playoffs would probably look like. Obviously Matthew Parrish still without him and his services. Hopefully he's back after the holiday break or gets close to it, but nonetheless, this is probably the closest we're going to get to the playoff matchup before, if there's any transactions or things like that, as the trade deadline is looming in about a month or so now. So, but I thought that after a pretty strong performance when Brody left the lineup due to an injury last game against Brampton. I thought that Van Vliet and Wysick really paired well, just given that the contrasting styles of play. And I thought Wysick specifically had a fantastic game defensively when he's normally known for his offense. But I really liked that pairing, and it was nice to see the IceDogs finally get to use their full complement of players, simply because the injury bug had bit them pretty hard in November. But I thought that this was a big game for the depth lines, and we talked about when the top end players came back or off of injury, that it would put everyone kind of into their appropriate spot and where they would be set up to succeed. And for the second straight or even the third straight game, we saw the fourth line with Mason Ray as well as Zada and Doherty really performed well, and again that one winger spot has rotated quite a bit, but nonetheless, Aerosmith as well, he's kind of fluctuated in there. But Asadorian, being the third line center, again played a pivotal role. I thought that this was one of, if not the best games for the depth of the IceDogs up front, and that's a really good sign.
17th straight start in the net for Owen Flores. Just continues to be an Iron Man for the IceDogs. You expect that Charlie Robertson's going to get one of those games up in the north, but what Owen Flores has been able to bring to this team, we've talked about it ad nauseum all season long, but today was basically the epitome of that, with a 44 save performance, and without him, I don't know if the IceDogs are able to win this game against Brantford.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, that third period, there was a stretch there of about a 4-minute shift, it seemed like, where Brantford was giving them all they could handle, and Flores came up huge, and that was after, a stoppage where he got run into off of a rush, and, there was concerns. We saw Robertson kind of get ready just in case, but Flores stayed in the game, as we've been accustomed to seeing over the last few years now, and he battled right through it. He loves to play against Brantford. You always see him fired up for these games, and my goodness, was he aggressive in net too. He fought off a lot of screens, a lot of, high-danger slot shots, and he was great. He was vintage Owen Flores tonight, and without him, I don't know how the IceDogs win this one.
We get into our game stats tonight, brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. They're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales with multiple locations across Niagara. Shots 46-27 in favor of the Brantford Bulldogs. One of the more lopsided shot totals we've seen all season long. The IceDogs have done a good job of not having those games that we've seen the last couple of years where they give up 50 shots, on the gamely basis, and they were able to get 14 in the first period, which was only a three-shot difference. And then second and third, they were outshot 13-9 and then 16-4, heavily outshot in that third period. But when you look at it from the IceDogs side of things, there was a stretch in that second period where they hemmed Brantford in their own end for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then, of course, Brantford gets one rush, and they score on a 2-on-1 with Jake O'Brien, which we'll get into. But what did you think of the shots tonight?
Well, yeah, I think that they bared out in the stats and what we saw when we watched them play again. I think that I've talked about this for a long stretch of the season where they've got to learn how to win and play with the lead, and they had that 3-1 lead after the first period, and there was a lot of just dumping it into the neutral zone and making not really getting the puck back, no puck retrieval. So there wasn't a lot of offensive zone time throughout the majority of this game, even on the power play as well, but it was forcing Brantford to go the entire length of the ice. And for the most part, they did really well. But again, there was a couple shifts for Brantford where they just absolutely hemmed them in, and it was pretty impressive and kind of crazy that Brantford didn't score on them in the third until one late with about 7 seconds remaining.
And then the power play, Brantford was actually 2 for 3 on the man advantage tonight. IceDogs 0 for 3 on the man advantage. As far as where these teams rank, power play, the Brantford Bulldogs rank 12th in the OHL. Niagara ranks 7th on the power play. Penalty kill, the IceDogs are currently in 14th. Brantford is 8th. So the IceDogs were not able to take advantage on the power play tonight.
I mean, if you go and look at the 3 games that Brantford has played against the IceDogs, I mean, their power play's got to be operating at like 80%, it seems like. And what's crazy is that the beginning parts of the season, Brantford was having such a hard time scoring on the power play, and it was what led to their very slow start, and now they've slowly started to dig their way out of that. But yeah, the penalty kill for the IceDogs is becoming a bit of an issue, especially because they're the second most penalized team in the OHL. So, they've really got to figure that out, and I think they will. They obviously got a big penalty killer back in Alex Asadorian. But they definitely need to figure that out because, not every night you're going to be able to beat a team like Brantford, even though they are much lower in the standings. 4-1, 5-on-5 is probably not something to expect every single game. You got to make the special teams battle a little bit closer, and even on the zone entries on the power play, they just did not seem to have it. It seemed like they were just frustrated by the system that Brantford was playing, and it was big that the bottom six, like I said, came through offensively for them.
Yeah, and the Bulldogs were without a couple of big guns there in Yurchek and Hamara and Dylan Tashurna as well, who's a pesky forward for them. So the IceDogs, didn't play what you would call the full itinerary for the Brantford Bulldogs side, but they were able to come away with the victory. But as far as the power play goes, that's something the IceDogs really have to hone in on, because we've seen now for a couple games now. They finally got one last game, but it's like 1 of 4, 1 of 5. You know what I mean? Like they're gaining the power play opportunities, but they're not capitalizing on it. Having Jack Brody back on the back end was nice there, but maybe now that Alex Asadorian's back, trying to figure out where his role might be on the power play, as well as trying to get those right shots back on there, is something that the IceDogs are still working through. No,
I completely agree. I think that it's going to be something that they're definitely going to address. I know that head coach Ben Boudreau talked about it all offseason, that they've got to fix that. And their power play has still been all right. It's been right in the middle range, but the first month of the season it was near the top in the league. So they've got to figure that out for sure. And I'm happy for the 2 points tonight and the 4 points this weekend.
40-34 were the face-offs in favor of the Bulldogs. Lashko was 11 of 25. Asadorian 9 of 14, so another good night on the dot for Asadorian. 7 of 16 for Zada. 6 of 14 for Ray. One of his performances that usually he's in the positive. So going up against his old team, it was a little bit of a struggle for him there. But anything catch your eye from the defensive zone? I know the IceDogs won one late in a 1-goal game.
Yeah, again, Asadorian comes up huge in the defensive zone after an icing, goalie pull, to ice the game essentially. And like I said, it's a great weapon for them to have. Lashko's been very good as well in those situations, but it's nice that when they need to win a draw, they can put out Lashko and Asadorian or Asadorian and Zada, and regardless if someone gets thrown out, they've still got a strong chance of winning the draw. And, they played some really talented centers in Brantford today, so, a great job by them again, and it's definitely been very impactful.
And they tried to hit Nick Lardis on that right circle a lot of times, and he's the guy that the IceDogs were able to keep off the score. Well, he scored that late power play goal with 8 seconds left, but for the majority of the game, they were really trying to feed Nick Lardis, and the IceDogs were doing a good job of being able to keep him to the outside, not give him those grade A scoring chances, because we know that he's one of the most dangerous players in all the Ontario Hockey League. This was our first time seeing Merrick Van Acker in the lineup as well for Brantford, and he's one of those guys that is an agitating forward and a grinder type guy. So with all the top-end forwards that the Bulldogs have at their disposal, I think the IceDogs, in that third period, they got a little bit hemmed in, but they didn't back down to this really tough Brantford team.
No, and like I said, they capitalized on their chances, except for that one stretch of, I want to say it was about 2 minutes, and it was Levin and his line just really controlling the play. Like Mason Ray was out there. Like I said, the bottom six was fantastic, and they just couldn't beat Igorov, and it was one rush the other way, and it was a 2-on-1 that the Bulldogs were able to complete. Now I thought that might be the thing that starts the comeback, as they were only up by 1 at that point. But it was a great answer by the IceDogs, and like I said, a great finish of the game.
We'll get into our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. The IceDogs opened the scoring at the 12:16 mark of the opening period. Kevin He gained the zone, and it was a little bit of a scramble play there right in front of David Igorov, who got the start tonight for the Brantford Bulldogs. Sean Doherty kind of got the puck, kind of fanned on it, was able to get the puck back, went backhand forehand, and was able to shovel that past Igorov, and it was nice to see number 44 get back on the board with his 4th of the year, because he had such a good start to the season offensively.
No, absolutely, and again, it was the role players today that had the finishing touches, but yeah, he fanned on the first attempt and was able to go backhand forehand to to beat the goalie clean. I got to say that it was one of Kevin He's better games. He's been awfully quiet over the last 5 or 6 games, but I thought he played great, and he was definitely back to himself, just creating offensive opportunities. And I think that we'll go through a stage where he rattles off 10 points in 10 games, that kind of thing. But good to see him get back in the board with a couple of assists tonight.
And he was really the only one, because Brantford does such a good job of trapping, trying to enter the zone, that the IceDogs are really doing a lot of dump and chase. But Kevin He was the only one that was really able to take the puck, circle back around in the neutral zone like he has that elite level speed at this level. And he was really the only one that was able to kind of crack through that Brantford defense and able to get some solid zone entries.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you have the skating ability or Kevin does, that's a weapon that very few players in the league have at their disposal. So yeah, he was integral in that sense. But even on the power play, like I said, there was just a systemic issue of just entering the zone cleanly, unless it was Kevin handling the puck. So something they got to work on a little bit there. But it was nice to see Kevin back and engaged and making it look easy like he normally does.
Cole Brown gets the Bulldogs' first goal of the game as he was falling, taking the pass from Jake O'Brien, getting the goal for Brantford just a few minutes later to get them the game tied. But right after that, the next shift after giving up the goal, it's Brady Waslin kind of finding that puck up in sort of a scramble in front of Igorov, goes backhand and goes over top for Brady Waslin's 4th goal of the season. Quietly, again, leading OHL rookies in points with a lot of assists, but only his 4th goal of the year. But that was a big one at the time to kind of turn the momentum back after Brantford literally had just tied the game on the shift before.
Yeah, it was a really nice touch as well. Yeah, and again, it was an ugly play, but they got pucks on the net, and Waslin with the composure to kind of move it out of harm's way and then just simply shovel it in. Great to see him get a goal. Yeah, he's been really a facilitator dishing the puck, but again, the leading scorer for rookies in the OHL, just continuing his great season.
Kevin He with 2 assists on the night on the first and second goal, so he didn't get on the board goal-wise, but 2 assists for the IceDogs captain. And then late in the first period, it was AA Alex Asadorian, 2 goals in 2 games since he's been back to the lineup. Takes the pass from Andrew Wysick and just goes in there, and I believe he went 5-hole on Igorov to get the IceDogs a 3-1 lead at that point. And that was, when you think about it, that's basically the difference in the game when they were able to go up by 2 goals. It's so big when you have a 2-goal lead as opposed to a 1-goal lead going into the room, but Alex Asadorian was for the IceDogs, getting them 2 goals there in the latter half of the first.
No, and it was late as well. But again, yeah, the ability to roll 4 lines and have a threat on every single line has just proven dividends so far in these first 2 games against desperate teams. They played Brampton and Brantford, both teams that were projected to do very well this season. They're off to a really slow start, and they're slowly battling back into their, into the middle parts of the conference. But it was a great job by Asadorian again, and man, he's looked exactly like he was before he left. The engine's always running, and a great shot on him there to beat Igorov and give them the 2-goal lead. And then, like I said, I think that they went kind of into a shell there, and they're protecting a lead. You don't always want to see that, but when Flores is playing as good as he is, and they make him go the entire length of the ice, it's not a bad way to go.
And then we fast forward to the second half of the middle period, and this was a sequence I talked about a little bit in the open, where the IceDogs for about 3 or 4 minutes really hemmed Brantford in their own end, had a lot of good scoring opportunities, but weren't able to kind of get that thing towards the middle. They were circling it around a lot and doing some good cycle game, but weren't able to capitalize. And literally, Brantford breaks it out one time, Josh Avery on a 2-on-1 with Jake O'Brien, and finds one of the guys that's going to be possibly a first-round pick in the upcoming NHL draft, Jake O'Brien's 14th of the year. And just like that, after the IceDogs had done such a good job, Brantford gets one opportunity and makes it a 1-goal game.
Yeah, it felt frustrated for the team because it was legit their best sequence that they had looked all game. It was 2.5, 3 minutes long of just great cycling, shots on goal, making it real tough for the goalie to see, unable to clear the puck. And yeah, like you mentioned, it was just one rush the other way to make it a 1-goal game at that point. So, the team always has so much fight in them, which is surprising because in that sequence, I kind of expected them to, wilt a little bit and maybe, allow the tying goal, but they didn't.
And then we get later in the second period, and this was a feel-good story. Blake Aerosmith, he's been playing a bottom line role the last few games after that injury in Peterborough. You came down the right wing in his 5th goal of the season, but first as an Ice Dog, getting the pass from Ryan Rubrick, and he went top shelf, and that is just a little bit of a flash of what we can see from Blake Aerosmith. We've seen him score some really nice goals already this year in his small sample size with London, but if he can continue to shoot like that, he's going to be a nice addition for the Ice Dogs as a second-year player.
No doubt. He reminds me a lot of Zada. Maybe not the high-end potential, but he plays with a little bit of an edge to him and some good speed, and that shot was great. That was a fantastic wrist shot. He picked his corner off a nice feed from Robrick, and honestly, the second line of Robrick and Zada and Waslin, they were involved on 2 goals, at least their line mates were, but we didn't really notice them a ton in this one. It was legitimately the bottom 6 where you kind of went, okay, that's not bad, nice play, that kind of thing. So good for Aerosmith to get on the board here. The whole team was fired up for him, and like you mentioned, that was a huge goal to restore that 2-goal lead. Yeah,
and a couple tough penalties that he's taken the last few games, and I don't even know if either of them really were penalties, but regardless, it was nice to see him bounce back because they did score on the one penalty that he was assessed earlier in the game. So nice to see Blake Aerosmith get on the board with his first goal as an Ice Dog, and then don't have anything for the rest of the game until very late in the third period with the Ice Dogs trying to conserve a 2-goal lead, and it's Nick Lardis getting the goal with 8 seconds left for his 25th of the year, which is considered a power play goal with the goaltender pulled. But the Ice Dogs hold on for that 4-3 win, and again, Owen Flores stood tall, but for the Ice Dogs, again, they don't care how you get them, but you got the 2 points.
No, for sure, and I think one of the things the Ice Dogs need to learn, or at least get adjusted to, is they have so much energy, and they get baited into some bad, penalties. And I love the passion and the ability to stand up for your teammates and engage. I think that's super important, and that's part of the the team identity that they have. I mean, we've seen it a number of times. We just saw Max Crete do it the other night, where he decided to drop the gloves and go after an opponent, and we saw it all throughout tonight because Brantford and the Ice Dogs, they have to be that, not inside their division, but they have to be the biggest rivals of the Ice Dogs, I would think, at least over the last little while, simply because it was one-sided for so long. But they just don't seem to like each other very much. But that being said, Blair Scott gets goaded into a penalty against Nick Lardis, and there was about 30 seconds or 40 seconds remaining, I believe, in the game, down by 2, and you just allowed him to get back into it. And it was a nothing play. There was no scrum afterwards. It was just them yapping at each other, and Scott took it a little too far. So I'd love to see them, maybe dial it back with the lead with the last 10 minutes. If they want to try and get you to take a penalty, just laugh it off, that kind of thing. And I think that will come with more wins, because I guarantee you that was a long skate back to the bench after they gave up that goal, and a real scary face-off that Blair Scott had to watch after allowing that one on the power play.
Yeah, those are the lessons you got to learn if you're going to be a playoff team, and keeping your head and composure, knowing what's at stake at that time in the game. Something that we didn't mention was in the middle period, once again, Owen Flores was down in the crease. Yep. The Bulldogs went hard to the net, and it kind of just got rolled up on, hit the post, and he was down for about a minute or so, and he was okay, luckily, but Brantford kind of came right back at him after that. Didn't really have any time to regroup, but nice to see, obviously, Owen Flores. Anytime he goes down with something, everybody worries, but that's something that happened in the middle period.
No, absolutely, yeah. We can't lose him. I mean, it's kind of scary to be a reliance, throughout most of the season so far, where we'd be without him. But nonetheless, yeah, he was able to finish the game, and that's big.
Noah Van Vliet against his former team tonight. Again, we just expect these types of performances from him. But again, you call him the sheriff, and he was again directing traffic out there and breaking up plays, making hits. Does it with a smile on his face, and against a team that he spent a lot of time with. I'm sure he had a little bit more juiced up tonight.
No, for sure. Him and Chanowski. I think Chanowski had
a great game.
Yeah, he was all over it from the very beginning of the game. So he had a lot of energy in this one, which was nice to see.
Yep, so we'll take a break on today's show. We're going to come back and get Ice Dogs head coach Ben Boudreau's post-game comments, as well as goaltender Owen Flores, and we'll get Cam's player of the game. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Back after this.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
In the Niagara region, Global Pet Foods is your destination for premium pet nutrition and caring expertise. Whether you've welcomed a new furry family member or need advice on top quality nutrition, their dedicated staff is ready to help. Discover why Global Pet Foods' lesser-known premium brands outshine the big corporate names. Their team's passion ensures your pet's health and vitality. Check out one of their locations today, 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where premium brands and caring staff make the difference.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, and Better Jobs Ontario information and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario. Celebrating a birthday, wedding, graduation, or just watching the big game? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano is there to satisfy your pizza needs. Serving handmade Italian pizzas created with the freshest, top quality ingredients, loaded subs, and their famous chicken wings. Platinum Award recipients of Community Votes Niagara for Best Pizza and Wings in all of the Niagara region. 3 years running. Open 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week from their brand new location at 7156 Drummond Road in Niagara Falls. All payment options accepted to fit your convenience. Available for call ahead, pickup, or delivery. Place your order today at 905-374-4400 or check out their online menu for the best quality pizza and wing combos you'll find in Niagara at carmine'spizzeria.ca. You've tried the rest, so why not try the best? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, proudly serving the Niagara community since 2013.
This is Alex Asadorian.
Hey, it's Ryan Roberg.
This is Ivan Gallianoff.
This is Matthew Virgilio.
My name's Jack Browdy.
And this is the
Dog Pound Podcast,
the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Niagara IceDogs game recap, right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are back with you, continuing to break down the IceDogs 4-3 victory over the Brantford Bulldogs here on a Sunday afternoon at the Meridian Centre for Beach Day with their specialty jerseys and winning back-to-back games here at home this weekend against Brampton and Brantford. Cam, before we get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau's post-game comments, the IceDogs currently sit 4th now in the Eastern Conference, and it's nice that they continue to pick up points here in December after we talked about on our November recap show a little bit of some turbulence there. This is going to be our last game recap, by the way, until probably the new year, because New Year's Eve most likely will not be one of those days for us. We're going to go on a 7-game road trip. We're still going to record some episodes for you guys in the next couple of weeks. But again, with that January trade deadline looming, Cam, it's there's definitely going to be some tough conversations that always happen around this time with every single team, not just the IceDogs, but every team around the league, whether they're going to buy, sell, stay. We kind of talked about it a little bit in our monthly recap show, but right now the IceDogs roster are starting to get as healthy as they've been all season long, and it's going to be some healthy competition as going forward here.
No, absolutely. I mean, we talked about it on the monthly recap show that, you know, the IceDogs' expectations coming into the year was to fight for a playoff spot, and they ended up leading the Eastern Conference for the first 6 weeks of the season, which was obviously way ahead of expectation. Now, November was a little rough. They've fallen back into the middle of the conference, and that's kind of where the expectation lays now, is the roster and, you know, the step forward they've taken. Definitely looks like they are, you know, in that middle portion of the conference, but then that leads to the next question is, if they're in the middle of the conference team, does it make sense to go in for it this season? Or do you look to try and prepare for the next season? Or do you just stand pat and let this team see what they can do in the playoffs this year? And it's very difficult because the OHL, or junior hockey in general, operates so much differently than a normal, you know, franchise, because it's over. You have windows of basically 3 years, and if you really mess up any of those, whether it's trading a player too early or too late, you've really got to get lucky then in the draft, or find a trading partner where you absolutely steal from them. But it can cause a lot of issues, you know. So on a team where, you know, this might not be the year to really push for an OHL championship or a deep playoff run, then you look at some of the players that aren't going to be back. So you've got the overagers, right? I would expect Flores isn't going anywhere, simply because the IceDogs, unless they got a top-tier goaltender back, I don't think they'd be comfortable doing that yet until we see, you know, Matt Humphreys kind of take his step in his development. And then on top of that, you've got, you know, Loshko, who we didn't even expect to have on the team until training camp, and then Van Vliet. I don't think Van Vliet will go anywhere because he's been the heartbeat of the team. So that leaves Loshko, which is kind of interesting to me. You know, we're just playing Armchair GM here, but it'll be very interesting to see what they do. Do they move Loshko for a player maybe in an 07 year to try and push for next year? We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. Or do they just leave things alone? The thing I would love, or I really hope doesn't happen, in all honesty, is that they go in for it this year, whether that's a Quentin Musty or Jet Luchenko, or, you know, one of those types of players. Wow, that'd be unbelievable to see right now. You know, I think IceDog fans have been really patient, in getting one of those top-tier NHL drafted players, first-round picks, would be fantastic. I just don't see how the rest of the team would be ready this year to go up against Barrie in a 7-game series, or, you know, even Oshawa. And, you know, again, the teams that have struggled below them in the standings so far, you know, they just had really slow starts. When everyone comes back, you know, it's going to be real interesting. So, you know, again, it's so much more difficult in junior hockey to manage moves and when to send players away. And, you know, it'll be very interesting for the IceDogs because they're right in the middle, and the road trip is going to probably determine a lot. You know, I think if they win 6 to 7, and how do you not try and maybe push your chips in a little bit, right? But I believe they don't have a second-round pick next year, which is a pretty big, massive hole and a big trade chip in the years that you have to push for a title, right? So, you know, again, very interesting to watch how this is going to play out over the next little while.
Yeah, when we talk about the IceDogs, and Ben Boudreau talked about their goals against average, the last little stretch has been like 4.6 a game, so they hold Brantford to 3 tonight, so underneath that, as well as Brampton holding them to 4 with another late goal that they gave up, but 4.6 goals they've been giving up until this weekend, so they keep that under wraps, and hopefully that's a sign of positive things to come. Before we get to Ben Boudreau, Andrew Shaw dropping the puck tonight.
Yeah, it was nice to see, and unexpected. I think that was always great to see alumni come back, especially a decorated one like Andrew Shaw. So great job by them to bring him out in the last game before the holidays.
Absolutely. 2-time Stanley Cup champion with the Chicago Blackhawks, played back at the Jack Gatecliff Arena from 2008 to 2010 with the Niagara IceDogs. It was nice seeing Shawzy out here tonight dropping the puck. But with that said, we'll get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Out of Repair postgame, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012, in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Let's hear what the IceDogs head coach had to say following his team's victory against the Brantford Bulldogs.
I'm probably sick of answering this question, but how much does Owen Flores mean to this team? Because I think he in some way single-handedly kept you in that game for quite a bit.
Well, there's momentum breakdowns for sure. I thought we got on our heels when we had that 2-goal lead, and we slipped there a little bit as far as putting games back to back together, and forgot what it was like to hold on to the lead. And then we got on our heels too much and relied on Owen. So at the end of the day, the result speaks for itself. And to answer your question, I hope I don't have to find out what it's like to not have Owen Flores part of this group.
Yeah. Now you've coached a while, you've played a while. Have you ever been on a team with a goalie that's done this much for a team?
Well, one thing, show me a good coach and I'll show you a good goalie. And I know that expression has been around for a long time. But in order to win anything in your life, you're gonna have to find a way to stop the puck. And Owen Flores is going to make your team look good and cover up a lot of mistakes. And I've been fortunate to win quite a bit as a head coach championship. And we've had a lot of great goalies through there. But Owen is right up there as far as his impact on this team.
Absolutely, yeah. The one thing today, I think you went 0 for 4 in a power play and didn't look particularly good. Is there anything put your finger on as to what's going on there?
Oh, we just weren't shooting the puck. You can't score unless you shoot, and we're trying to be too cute. And again, you got to find a way to get the puck to the net. And I didn't think we did that. They did a good job of keeping us to the outside, and they frustrated us. And at the end of the day, you just got to get pucks to the net, and hopefully you get a lucky one somewhere like that. And if you're not shooting, you don't have those breaks go your way.
For sure. 17 wins now, which ties you for last year. Does that mean anything, or do you even care about stuff like that?
We did it in 40 games fewer than an entire season, and every single one of them feel just as good as the other one. But yeah, I think it's a good sign that our organization is on the right track. And when you look at our young guys who are going to be here for years, hopefully, so the stability and the culture that we're establishing here is being driven by a young core group. And the fact that we got to last season's win output 40 games fewer is a huge sign that this is a positive step in the right direction.
For sure. You've got 7-game road trip coming up, and it's kind of blocked off by week. Like, do you look at it as a whole road trip, or do you go week by week, or how do you kind of fragment that down?
We got a long-term goal of making the playoffs, and whether that's 8th place or first place, and believe me, we prefer first place, but it's playoffs is our goal, and that's a long-term goal, and we go about trying to achieve it in small increments every single week by being 500 or more every single week, and they're all going to add up, and we've only lost one weekend. So for us, we're looking at the road trip just as a 3-game segment, and then a 2-game segment, and then another 2-game segment as we go along. So if we can win the week and get at least 500% of the points every week, at the end of the year we'll be exactly where we need to be.
Sure. Now, although it's a long road trip, you do come back, right? You go up north and then you come back, so it's not like you're gone for 2.5 weeks.
We come back, and even Barrie and Brampton, they're short. They're quick ones, and then we back, and then we get the Christmas break, and then we're boom, and then back here for some home cooking on New Year's Eve.
For sure, great. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
2-1 against Brantford right now in the Canine Cup. I mean, for 4 years they dominated you. Is that a one thing you wanted to get off your bucket list for the team?
For me, it was frustrating last year because the team was a very good hockey team, and they beat us all 4 games and couldn't find a way to beat them. I don't look so much to the history of the 26-game streak that we didn't beat them. This is a new era. This is a new culture. This is a new way going forward. And right now we have the slight edge on the season series. And embrace the past, but look forward to the future. And part of that past was the streak, and you understand it. You find a way to use that as motivation. I thought those guys were extremely motivated to come out on top tonight.
IceDogs comes back a goal each game, coming back into the lineup. Were you surprised by that?
Not at all, especially when you saw how hard he worked when he wasn't in the lineup and how committed he was. He's a great individual. He's a guy just like you don't know what you have until he's gone. Our penalty kill suffered without him, and the impact that he has in the locker room, both on and off the ice, can't really be measured. So 2 wins in 2 games since Alex's return, I don't think is coincidence.
Well, Coach, they were working you guys pretty in that third period down low behind the net. Like they were cycling real well. They outshot you 16-4, but you guys bent but didn't break. What was the key to making sure that you were able to come away with the 2 points, even though in that third period you were playing defense for most of it?
No, I mean we gave up shots, but we gave up shots from the outside, and that's what happens when you protect the slot and the inside. And when you got a really good goalie, I mean you can play like that sometimes. You just don't want to give up that one grade A that can get in the back of the net, and that's what we gave up all the way at the end with a 6 6-on-4. But you go back to the first game of the season where we had 50 shots on the net. They were all from the outside. When you have a great goalie, he might be tired making 48 saves, but unless they want to penetrate the middle and get to the dirty areas, we're going to find ways to keep them on the outside. And for us, I thought we did that. Brady Waslin's goal, 3 guys at the net, picking pucks kind of out of that thing, and I thought we did a better job of getting to the inside.
And it's the second straight game that Kevin and Lashko haven't got on the score sheet, but you're still finding ways to score. So talk about the guys like Aerosmith. Brady got on the board. You talked about already Asadorian, and as well Doherty getting on the board. So your depth scoring coming through, even though your top guys are kind of going through a little bit of a slump. So is that an encouraging thing? I know you want to get those other guys going, but how do you assess that?
For me, the most important stat that we have is in the win column, and like we said, we got 17 wins, 40 games fewer than we did last season. I mean, it's great if Kevin scores or Lashko scores, and you want them to get rewarded for being your offensive guys. And there's peaks and valleys. Right now, Lashko's in a little bit of a valley, but still having a huge impact on the game. And same thing, with Rubes, and Zada didn't score tonight, and Kevin didn't score tonight, even though he had 2 assists. And we were even saying, I'd love to see some of the depth come through and carry us, and Aerosmith and Sean Doherty. I mean, those are 2 huge goals. Rookie, his 4th goal of the season. Brady Waslin. I mean, those are unexpected goal scorers that really carried us to a victory today. And some games you need that when the top guys aren't going.
And lastly, Andrew Shaw dropped the puck tonight. A guy that was a hard-nosed, heart and soul type player for the Ice Dogs. Are you hoping that the guys kind of see players like that and know that you don't just have to be a 100-point scorer to get drafted to the NHL? Work hard, and a guy like Andrew Shaw kind of epitomizes what it's like to work hard as a grinder that can make it if you're not one of those top guys.
100%. He played 11 seasons, had 544 points, an OHL championship, 2 NHL Stanley Cups, 190 games in this league with over 300 penalty minutes. I mean, you don't amass that type of career without being a hockey gamer. And the fact he's a proud Niagara IceDogs alum, just, you welcome somebody like that with open arms. And, all the guys really wanted to play for, a Stanley Cup champion, especially with the alumni here. So I thought we did a really good job finding a way to respond.
Thanks, Coach, and best of luck on the road.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
There was Ice Dogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame. Cam, extended thoughts there, about 7 minutes long, but what was your biggest takeaways from what the head coach had to say?
Well, I think that, he brought up that, they won their 17th game. It took 40 less games to do so, and I think that the fact that he knew that, he understood, understands how much of a change this season is, and again, shouting out the bottom 6 or some of the role players in a game where maybe everyone didn't have it going, or at least they were able to defend well, but offensively they just took advantage of their few opportunities. And it's good to see him reward and talk about the depth players like Aerosmith and Doherty, and shout out to the general manager and the team acquiring both of these guys, because they weren't on the team at the start of the Doherty right after training camp when Vermeulen was traded. He was kind of the replacement there, but again, 2 acquisitions, and they both come up huge in this one. So it was nice to see him reward those guys and give them their praise.
He talked about just getting the 2 points and being able to come away with the victory. Talked about those depth guys coming through, and talked about them playing that team collective that they're going to need to be successful here, because they are on a team that can go out and just win games when they don't have their best. So they need to play in all aspects, and having all 6 defensemen pulling the rope in the same direction, and all 12 forwards as well.
No, 100%. And, I think that every win is not going to look perfect. It's, sometimes they're going to be ugly. And this one was more of an ugly one, but I think that first period, again, they didn't have a ton of opportunities, but they did everything right, and the shots and the shots that did go in terms of Asadorian and Aerosmith, they really picked their corners and were able to capitalize on some grade A chances.
Got the Meridian Centre changing over for a concert or something else happening with the Ice Dogs going on the road for 7 games. But regardless of that, we'll get to our Ice Dogs feature play interview tonight, brought to you by Cully's Original Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Niagara IceDogs hockey, whether you're gearing up for the game or celebrating a big win. Cully's is the place to be before and after every Ice Dogs matchup. Just a short walk from the Meridian Centre. Cully's, it happens here, and is with goaltender Owen Flores on his first star 44 save performance, getting the Ice Dogs the victory. Back in the postgame with Ice Dogs goaltender Owen Flores. Owen, 44 save performance for you against a tough Brantford team that is always a tough game when you go up against them. Seems like you bring your best in games like that. How did you feel out there tonight?
Yeah, 100%. I felt great, especially rivalry down the road. Like, we play them a lot, so it's every game matters. So it's always take it seriously.
And then you got a little bit nicked up there in the middle period, and you've actually gone through that a couple of times this year. What's your mentality when something like that happens, and it takes you a second to get back into the game, and you're making so many saves there that you didn't really have time to really get a breather. So when you go down like that and you have to kind of refocus and get back in the game, how do you do that so well?
Yeah, pain's temporary. It doesn't last very long. Where it lasts a minute, seconds, hours, days. Just try to fight through it. It's temporary, so always kind of think of it that way.
What's your message to the guys in front of you? And the team's hemming you in, and they were kind of keeping them to the outside. There was a couple dangerous scoring chances in front, but as an overage guy, especially with a younger roster, what are you kind of trying to tell those guys out there? I know you're vocal at times.
Yeah, for sure. I try to direct the young guys in the right direction. Sometimes kind of get confused. It's new to them, so I try to kind of point them in the right direction. And then we got some older defensemen, some older forwards that kind of point them too. So I kind of just kind of back there just quarterbacking them a little bit too.
Seems like this is the most confidence you've been playing with in your OHL career. What do you think has been the difference this year? As far I know you're in your overage year, but what do you think has been different for you this year as opposed to your first 3 years in the OHL?
Yeah, I think it's kind of just time. Goalies take a little bit longer to develop, so I think obviously the first 3 years you're kind of just getting used to it, and then when you're in your third and fourth final year, maybe fifth year, everything seems a little bit slower, especially going home and training with different guys, kind of going just through the motions, how it all works. So I just think that it just takes time.
And lastly, you're going to go on a 7-game road trip. What's the mindset as you guys head off on the road, and are you hoping to play in all of those games?
Yeah, it's tough, especially with all the games we've been playing this month. But on the road, I guess it's better just to be on the road all the time than kind of just back and forth. Especially this northern trip. Obviously, not a lot of people like it. Long bus rides, bus legs, everything. But I think we're able to push through and get these wins.
IceDogs goaltender Owen Flores. Owen, congratulations on the win. Best of luck on the road, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you, appreciate it.
There was IceDogs goaltender Owen Flores on the Cully's player postgame. Cam, Owen Flores, just a guy that's dialed in at all times. You can see how focused and how serious he takes being the starting goaltender of this team. Can't talk to him during pregame, can't talk to him during warm-ups. He's in the zone from the second he parks his car and walks into the building, and he's putting it all on display this year. Just so much confidence.
No, for sure. And he's gone through a couple of rough seasons with us, and he has never shied away from being in net, and regardless if he's got to face 50 shots and 8 go in because of poor team play, he always wants to be in net and battle, and I think that's super important. Such a good quality to have, and now that the team's playing well, everything just kind of stems from his performance. That it's going to be a steady night in net for the most part, and I think the rest of the league maybe doesn't pay attention to nearly enough, but I'll tell you what, if you're a Brantford Bulldogs fan, you completely understand how good Owen Flores is, because in both of their wins, he's been absolutely instrumental, and tonight it must have been infuriating as a Brantford fan to watch that third period and get absolutely shut out against Owen Flores.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the, if not the main reason the IceDogs came away with the win, but again, you got to give them credit for the way they played in the first 2 periods, getting those 4 goals, and it wasn't like, the entire game Brantford was hemming them in. There were stretches in that game where Flores had to come up big, but, an overall good team performance again in a second straight game against a very formidable offense in Brampton and Brantford to be able to come away with 2 points.
You can't protect a lead if you don't have one, right? So, no, it was definitely big, and yeah, you got to remember that both of these teams, they've underperformed so far from, pundits' expectations to start the year, and I have a feeling that both of them will, kind of right the ship, but nonetheless, they have NHL drafted players on every single one, whereas the IceDogs only have 2, right? And it wasn't like, Kevin and Loshko weren't first-round picks, right? So they've done a great job bottling up this insane talent that they're going up against, and Flores was a part of it tonight. It was his time to shine, just like it was Zada's last game, and I think that that's something that is just fun to see, that every game someone new kind of pops up and has a big moment.
So before we get out of here, we're going to put Cam on the spot as always with our stick tap of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man, Pro Stock Hockey Sticks from major junior teams right up to the NHL teams for half the retail price. A stress-free shopping experience from start to finish. Check them out at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission of saving hockey families money. Cam, who are you going with tonight?
Well, tonight is definitely Owen Flores. Just like last game was Ethan Zada Flores, this game isn't even close, in my opinion, without him. Whether it was the first period where he was able to come up big or that third period where they, Ben Boudreau talked about how they forced all the shots to the outside, but there was traffic everywhere in front. They did not make it easy on him, and he was able to right the ship and hold the lead there. But I do want to give a special shout-out to, again, not on the box score. Well, he was, but Alex Asadorian had a couple shifts where you really see his skating stride and his ability to never give up on a play. It was a 2-on-1 where he started at, maybe just ahead of the face-off dot and just turned on the afterburners to break up a 2-on-1 pass at the last second. And those are the things you don't see on the box score, but you get to appreciate when you watch all the games live. And Asadorian has been fantastic to see back in the lineup. 2 goals on the third line so far in 2 straight games, and they've both been pivotal. So. And
9 for the second straight game. 9 IceDogs got points, and that's big when you talk about the depth scoring, and it's not just always Kevin He and Andre Loshko and Ryan Rubrick. You're starting to see the contributions up and down the lineup, and it's making a difference for them. Callum Chanowski, again, you could tell he really wanted it tonight against the Bulldogs. There were a few sequences where he looked off about 3 guys and then tried to take it to the net himself, number 7, against his former team, but had a really solid performance in both ends.
No, yeah, Chanowski definitely wanted one tonight, and he had a very, very good game as well. You're right.
Absolutely. So the IceDogs tie their win total from all of last season. Cam, can you believe that as we kind of close it up here? This is our last game recap of 2024. We'll be talking to you again on this program in January, but again, when you think about it, they've tied last season's point total or win total already, and they still got 40 games to play here.
Coming into this season, fully expected, a 9th through 7th battle for the majority of the season. You don't really expect, especially when there wasn't really many huge trades. I mean, they rebuilt the blue line essentially, right? And that's a big overhaul in terms of a lineup. But it wasn't like they went out and got a first-round NHLer. They went out and got Van Vliet, who was a great overager. They got Brody and Blair Scott, who was viewed as a lost trade. Something where the IceDogs gave up way too much. It turns out that Brody's almost a point per game, and Scott provides that physical edge. All the defensemen are willing to go into the corners, even Wysick tonight. So, they didn't do this huge team overhaul. They just got a full year of, the coaching staff and the ability for the roster to breathe after years of trying to trade their way out of problems. The team has been allowed to just kind of grow together, and that's imperative in the OHL, and not just the OHL, and the CHL and junior as a whole. You have these 5-year windows where you've got to try and let these guys grow together in a 3-year span. So it's been really fun to watch. I can't believe that they're in fourth place right now, and they're a point back, a third with a game in hand. Would have never predicted that, and just everyone's kind of humming along here. Really impressive.
They go on the road for that tough northern road trip, Thursday in North Bay, Friday up in Sault Ste. Marie, and then Sunday afternoon in Sudbury before they get the Barrie Colts and the Brampton Steelheads the following week on a back-to-back Thursday and Friday up in Barrie and Brampton. So a long road trip here for the IceDogs. We'll be recording an episode here after the northern road trip next week that'll be available on video and audio. But Cam, 7-game road trip. We'll be back here, not for a game recap, but back at home for that New Year's Eve game against the Peterborough Petes. Gavin Bryant's return to Niagara. So a lot of good storylines here as we wrap up 2024.
No, absolutely. And I hope to see a lot of fans out there for the New Year's Eve game. It's a great spot in the city to come watch, start your night, and hope to see a lot of you back at the Meridian Centre to cheer on the IceDogs after this long road trip.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap up our Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. IceDogs 4, Brantford Bulldogs 3 on a Sunday afternoon here at the Meridian Centre in front of over 3,000 fans here in downtown St. Catharines for this afternoon matchup. So for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's it, and we'll talk to you again on our next episode, but next game recap's going to be a while. But enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you again very soon.